Hi, Paul Sakis, Good News Broadcast, speaking to Charlotte Reed. Hello, Charlotte. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Charlotte and I haven't spoken in a while, and I imagine that you've been working with a lot of pets and dogs and animals over this period of time and helping them in many ways and helping their friends, the ones that are taking care of them on a daily basis. Is that so?
Well, really, one of the greatest things I've been doing is, in the last few years, I've been traveling a lot with the whole brood, and it's nice to meet dog owners from all over the country because a lot of them have a lot of the same concerns. And, wherever you go, whatever you do, one of the things that's been great was this summer has been one of the kookiest summers we've ever had as far as weather goes. Here in New York, it's finally getting hot and sticky, where in the Pacific Northwest, it's been hot like they can't believe. Here in New York, we've had tons and tons of rain, and those weather issues present other problems that people who are not necessarily always prepared have to tend to deal with.
Okay, what are some of those kinds of things in regard to an animal?
Well, for example, it's been raining so much here in New York, so we have to worry about, more mosquito control. So you have to make sure your pets are on their flea and tick medication, which is really, really important because a lot of people don't realize not only can your dog get fleas and ticks, but they can bring them into your house, and that can be a health hazard. Okay. So I always tell people that's something else that you don't want to have to deal with. The other thing is, now that it's raining more, we've got a lot more stinky animals.
Okay. Okay.
The other day, it was just like, I couldn't stand it anymore. I woke up in the morning and I had to give these dogs a bath. It was like, they've been getting, because I have little dogs now, they're lower to the ground. I'm dealing with more, them coming inside from being outside. They're a lot more dirtier. I have to keep my house cleaner. And, it's really funny. One of the things that has come up this summer that I worked on is I worked with Arm & Hammer, and we developed a guide for a pet fresh home, which is actually done really well. We provide some of the tips, like some of the strategies and tips for cleaning, but we also talk about some of the great products. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you can go to someone's house and you smell the pet before you see it.
Yes.
Right. It happens to like everybody, one of the biggest chores is like kind of keeping that cat litter box clean. And I know I have two cats, and my husband's a chef now. Since we have last talked, I have gotten married. We're always entertaining people.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I'm always worried that the litter box is just going to really, be stinky, and I want to keep it clean. Sometimes, before guests, or I go and clean. Sometimes if guests are here, I run into the utility room just to scoop out the litter box and throw the litter away, just in case. And, it's been kind of crazy. One of the reasons that, a lot of people hate cleaning the litter box. That's why a lot of people have, self-cleaning litter boxes. Arm & Hammer just developed this great, they reformulated all their cat litters. So they all have ammonia block, which is great. The Arm & Hammer that we know and love from years ago, that, everybody has one in their refrigerator, neutralizing odors. It's the same thing now, but in the cat litter, they have these big crystals, baking soda crystals, which work out really well. And also there's a cat litter deodorizer you just kind of spray on either as daily maintenance to keep the box fresh and clean, as well as, just before a person comes. And, the most important thing is people now are everyone's concerned about not only safety for themselves, but safety for their children, safety for their pets. And people tend to want solution-oriented products that can save them money. And that's really, really key. And, these products are great because they not only save you money, but, dealing with cats inappropriate eliminating, that's another big problem. If you don't keep the litter box clean, you could, in fact, have a cat that decides to go elsewhere. And then, of course, you have to spend tons of money either with a trainer or behaviorist or having your carpets cleaned.
What are you saying? You're saying that if they don't feel comfortable in the litter box, then they will possibly go bathroom other places? Is that right?
Go other places. And it's, even though it's a chore, you just have to keep that litter box clean. Scoop it every day, freshen it up. A lot of people have a tendency to take the whole box or bag of litter that they have and pour it in. You don't need to do that. You put about 1.5 inches of litter in the litter box. It doesn't need to be filled, and you scoop. And on the days that you tend to scoop more, a lot of people use clumping litter, and you just dump it out, and you add as you go. You add a little bit, and you keep it fresh. the most important thing. Now with the spray litter, litter deodorizer, it's a lot easier. The urine is really what makes it smell, is because the urine's breaking down. So we want to make sure you use a soft, fine litter. What I mean by soft, it's fine, it's soft on the paws, it's not rocky for the cat. A lot of cats don't like scent, and that's the great thing. This litter comes, these ammonia block formulas come in scented and unscented litters. So some cats don't like scent. So it depends on your cat. And also the cat litter deodorizer doesn't give it a scent, it just freshens it up so that you don't have it. It really neutralizes that odor, so it's safe, yet it's powerful. And then you want to scoop all the time. You don't have to scoop, more than once a day is fine, but that's one of the things that you do. Now, some people hate the chore of cleaning the litter box, and I understand that. So they decide to go with a self-cleaning unit. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some of those units are great. It's really, I always say it's all about the lifestyle. Me, I don't have a self-cleaning litter box. For me, I live in New York City. I live in an apartment. I go the old-fashioned route with the litter box. I scoop every day. I scoop a lot, but having more than one cat, and a lot of people have more than one cat these days. They say there are about 94 million households with cats in this country, and there's 93 million cats in U.S. households, and there's about 38 million households with cats. If you take that into consideration, the average cat owner has more than one cat. They almost have, like they say, 2.8 or 3 cats.
What happens when you have? I don't have a cat. I've never had a cat. I know nothing really, in essence, about taking care of a cat. What happens when you have 2 cats? What happens then?
Well, generally, I always suggest that if you have more than one cat, you should have more than one litter box. Okay, because this way they have their own privacy. You also want to position a litter box in a place that is not getting a high traffic area. When I mean pleasant, I mean kind of quiet, off to the side, maybe a utility room, maybe a bathroom that someone's not using. You don't want a high traffic area like the kitchen, or people are going to be walking by, there's lots of noise. That's really, really important. You also want to make sure, like I said, you have the appropriate size litter box for the appropriate size cat. If the litter box is too big and your cat's fat, it's not going to work.
Okay, and so then to go over this, so this product that Arm & Hammer has is in essence being utilized to clean a litter box, right?
Right, exactly. One, to have litter, because they do the Arm & Hammer ammonia block formula litters, and then they do the cat odor deodorizer, which for the average cat owner helps cut the smell down. It's like I said, if you go to someone's house, sometimes you can smell the pet before you actually see them. And especially in this economy, and it's not so much it's just cats, it's dogs too. In this economy, less and less people are traveling. I saw an article about how yesterday, or maybe it was early this morning, about airline travel being decimated this summer. People just aren't traveling as much. People are staying home more, they're entertaining more. Pets are part of their lifestyle. They're not willing to lock up their pets. Mm-hmm. So, but at the same time, they're spending more time at home. And, it's like when you go to a restaurant. You walk and all of a sudden you're like, wow, everything smells so good. The longer you're there, you don't smell it anymore. You don't smell the food. You're just, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I recently saw this survey, and I thought this was really interesting. The people who actually gave this survey determined, or they revealed, that 80% of the people who took their survey acknowledge that each home they visit has a distinctive smell. So, for example, if it was an artist, maybe it smelled like paint. Somebody who's crazy for air freshener, maybe it smelled like, mountain glaze or cinnamon or something along those. Somebody said if they had a pet, it smelled like a pet. But of those folks surveyed, 96% recognized that when they went to somebody else's house, they smelled something bad, whether it was a pet, a litter box, fruit rotting, or, the garbage. But of that 96%, they failed to admit that they have those same, maybe same stinky things in their house. Right. So they've been there so long, either they don't smell it or they didn't want to admit it.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that's true. You get used to your surroundings. And
exactly. So there are other things that you can do. If you have a dog crate or a dog bed, you want to make sure that you take, you keep your dog bed nice and fresh. Not only for your pet's health, but for, the smell in your home. If you have a crate, wipe it out. If you're traveling with your pet after your trip, clean it. It's, it's just certain things that are common sense. One of the biggest forms of pet odor also comes from not brushing a pet's teeth. The majority of pets, by the time they're 3, suffer from periodontal disease. So it doesn't take, it's right now, like I said, it's about what you can do preventative so that in the long run you're not spending money. If you brush your pet, some people can't do it once a day, but if they can try to brush their pet's teeth, once a week, give some hard kibble, get their teeth checked at the vet, to keep up those vet visits, do a little self-grooming at home. Another way to keep your house really clean is most people neglect to brush and comb their dog. It only takes a few minutes every day or a few minutes every week. This way, the shedding hair, the dirt, the dander, what we call scurf, all those dead skin cells, easily come right off. If you're taking your dog right at the end of the walk, give your pet a brush. There's nothing worse than touching a dirty pet, a dirty cat, or a dirty dog. It's gross. I mean, you like dogs. Okay, you're not a cat man, but you like dogs.
I like both of them. No, I just have never had, so I think they're both great.
A dog when they're dirty, it's like, oh.
Last question, because I know you got a lot of other people to speak to, Charlotte, and I always enjoy speaking to you. So my last question: what's good news for you?
Good news is really is telling people to do everything they possibly can to keep their pet. If you're worried about financial problems, take the time, figure out what you're going to do with your pet. Don't wait till the last minute. There's so many organizations that can help you. It's always important to ask for a helping hand if you're in trouble.
I agree with you big time here. Okay, CharlotteReed.com also. You can learn a lot right there. Charlotte, thanks once again for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me, and also to download the guide for our new survey. Go to armhammerpets.com and, download the guide, learn how to have a fresh and clean home.
Perfect.
And thanks for having me, Paul.
Okay, Charlotte, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.